A gold chain, a private pool, and a giant snake as a swim buddy. That's not a music video, that's real life for the ultra-rich and their unbelievable pets. And there are more amazing stories. Saudi royalty, known for jaw-dropping extravagance, have taken the concept of exotic pets to an entirely different level. We're not talking about poodles in handbags or goldfish in crystal bowls. This is about cheetahs lounging in Bentleys, falcons flying first class, and wildcats wearing diamond-studded collars. Among the most talked about displays, the image of a cheetah casually seated in the passenger seat of a gold Lamborghini. That cat wasn't photoshopped in, it was a real animal, and scenes like this aren't rare in the Gulf. It's a common sight in certain circles of the ultra-elite in the Middle East. Big cats like cheetahs, lions, and leopards have become symbols of untouchable status, just like rare watches or super yachts. These animals aren't locked in cages, they're snapped in swimming pools, stretched across luxury SUVs, or perched on velvet cushions inside multi-million-dollar palaces. Falconry alone has grown into a luxury industry. Royal families like that of Mohammed bin Salman own entire fleets of falcons, trained birds so valuable they fly on private jets, each in its own seat with its own passport. In fact, in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, it's not unusual for airports to process dozens of falcons traveling for sport or prestige events. A top-tier falcon can cost more than a Rolls-Royce. And yes, some of those birds have logged more air miles than most people. But when it comes to sheer spectacle, nothing beats the big cats. The cheetah in the gold Lambo has become a symbol of the extremes of billionaire pet culture. While local laws have tightened, banning exotic animals from being kept as personal pets, that hasn't stopped a stream of videos and photos flooding social media, where the rich flex their animals like designer bags. When you think of Silicon Valley billionaires, you probably picture high-tech labs, smart homes, and robotic pets that cost more than your house. But Mark Zuckerberg? He went the old-school route with goats, not robot goats. Real, live, grass-munching goats. And not just any names either. He famously introduced them to the world with a single, now iconic post: "My goats, Max, and Bitcoin." The name Bitcoin raised more than a few eyebrows. Was it a joke, a message, a warning? No one really knows, and Zuckerberg didn't elaborate. What we do know is that these goats live on his sprawling estate in Palo Alto, where they graze in tech-powered serenity. It's hard to say whether he sees them as pets, conversation pieces, or walking memes, but they've definitely become part of his public persona. Just like his hoodie and his metaverse ambitions. Now, here's where things get stranger. Back in 2019, it came out that Zuckerberg once served goat meat to Twitter founder Jack Dorsey during a dinner at his house. Yes, one of the goats from his own property. Dorsey confirmed this in an interview, adding that the meat was cold and possibly cooked with a laser beam or some kind of tech-enhanced device. Whether or not the goat in question was Max or Bitcoin remains a mystery, but it was enough to cement Zuckerberg's place as one of the most bizarrely fascinating figures in the billionaire pet space. In a tech world obsessed with the virtual, Zuckerberg's goats are surprisingly analog. They don't fetch code, they don't run on AI, but they do symbolize something else entirely. The strange crossover of wealth, power, and identity in the age of billionaires who don't just disrupt industries, they redefine what it means to be eccentric. In the middle of Silicon Valley's frantic pace and buzzing servers, Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison built something completely different. A calm, quiet world where koi glide through still waters, cherry blossoms drift in the air, and not a single email notification can be heard. On his 23-acre estate in Woodside, California, Ellison created a personal sanctuary modeled after a 16th century Japanese emperor's retreat. It's not just a garden, it's an entire ecosystem of tranquility. At the heart of it are the koi, shimmering, colorful fish that are as prized as they are peaceful. These aren't your average backyard pond fish. Ellison's koi are carefully selected, cared for like living jewels, and represent both luxury and discipline. Some koi are valued at over $100,000 each, depending on their lineage and color pattern. And yes, Ellison's collection is rumored to include a few of the rarest. Ellison's fascination with Japanese culture goes way beyond aesthetics. He reportedly studies Bushido, the samurai code, and has applied its discipline to his business philosophy. Even his koi, calm on the surface and alert underneath, reflect that same mindset. They become symbols of his identity, powerful, composed, and impossible to ignore. In a world where tech giants compete through space rockets and electric cars, Ellison quietly flexes his fortune with silence, reflection, and koi that glide through million-dollar water. He's proof that power doesn't always roar sometimes, it just ripples. When you're the head of LVMH, the empire behind Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Moet. Luxury isn't just business, it's a lifestyle. Bernard Arno, one of the wealthiest people on the planet, doesn't just invest in watches and wine. He pours millions into horsepower of a very different kind, elite thoroughbred racehorses. And in his case, it's not a hobby, it's a full-on, high-stakes passion. Arno owns and operates Haras d'Aspel, a prestigious stud farm in Normandy, France, where some of Europe's most promising bloodlines are bred. We're talking about horses that compete on the same level as Formula One cars trained for speed, precision, and glory on the turf. These horses don't just race for sport, they race for legacy. And in the world of elite racing, the right bloodline can cost more than a private jet. One of his standout horses, Rangali, made headlines after taking major wins in France, adding prestige to Arno's already polished portfolio. But winning is only part of the appeal. With every new foal born at his farm, Arno is betting on the future of sport, breeding, and status. Just like a couture piece fresh off the runway, each thoroughbred carries exclusivity, tradition, and craftsmanship. Owning racehorses has long been a signature move of the ultra-rich, from royalty to rock stars, but Arno brings his signature blend of elegance and control to it. The stables are run with the same care you'd find in a flagship Dior boutique. Clean lines, perfect order, nothing out of place. Even the hay probably feels curated. Unlike flashy billionaire pet choices like tigers or monkeys, Arno's horses are quiet statements of power. No gold chains, no viral videos, just precision breeding, polished saddles, and a lifestyle where fashion and muscle gallop side by side. Because for some, luxury isn't loud, it wins by a nose at the finish line. If most billionaires show off their pets in diamond collars or private jets, Elon Musk took things in a completely different direction, straight into science fiction. At his brain tech company Neuralink, Musk introduced the world to a monkey named Pager who could play Pong without a joystick. No buttons, no touch, just brainwaves. It wasn't a magic trick, it was a real monkey using a chip implanted in its head to move a digital paddle on screen purely by thought. The experiment, revealed in a sleek Neuralink video, stunned viewers. Pager munched bananas from a straw while playing the game, seemingly calm and focused. Musk claimed the monkey didn't just understand the game, it was actually getting better at it through real-time feedback from the chip. What once sounded like a scene from Black Mirror was suddenly being live-streamed on YouTube. These monkeys weren't household pets lounging around in living rooms. They were part of a massive push to develop brain-computer interfaces tech that could someday let humans control devices with their minds, restore movement to paralyzed individuals, or even create full-on mind-to-mind communication. The possibilities sound wild, but the tech is very real. And the monkeys are the first test subjects on the frontier. Of course, the project has drawn criticism. Not everyone's comfortable with the idea of animals used in such high-tech experiments, even when the goals are medical. Neuralink has remained mostly silent about the full extent of its animal testing, but Musk insists the work is both humane and revolutionary. And whether you believe in the future he's building or not, it's hard to deny how strange it is to see a monkey gaming without touching a thing and doing it better than most humans. Where other billionaires collect cheetahs or koi, Musk is raising the bar not by owning animals, but by plugging them into machines. In his world, pets don't fetch, they reprogram the future. Think billionaire pets are wild? Wait until you meet the animals who are the billionaires. We're talking trust funds, mansions, private jets, all owned by cats, dogs, and even a chicken. You won't believe how rich some of these animals actually are. Meet Gunther 6, a German shepherd who isn't just pampered, he's absurdly wealthy. His reported fortune, over $500 million, including villas, yachts, and even a luxury estate once owned by Madonna. But the story behind that wealth is where things really get strange. According to the tale, Gunther inherited his fortune from a German countess, who left her fortune to her dog, and then it was passed down from generation to generation, right to Gunther VI. Now here's the twist. That inheritance story? It was later revealed to be a brilliantly orchestrated stunt by Italian entrepreneur Maurizio Mian to draw attention to his investments and eccentric lifestyle. Still, the wealth surrounding Gunther is real. The dog has lived in sprawling mansions, traveled the world by private jet, and has been seen dining at candlelit tables in 5-star hotels. Netflix even released a full documentary exposing the empire, and the show only made Gunther more famous. He's been spotted wearing sunglasses, lounging by the pool, and inspecting luxury properties in Miami. Sure, it's theater, but the money behind the act is legitimate. The real question isn't whether the dog understands how rich he is, it's how many humans would swap lives with him in a heartbeat. Taylor Swift's cat. Olivia Benson doesn't purr, she prints money. Named after the Law & Order character, this Scottish fold has become a celebrity in her own right, with an estimated worth of over $97 million. Olivia has appeared in music videos, commercials, magazine spreads, and even a sneaker ad campaign. She's not just Taylor's pet, she's part of the brand. You'll find her on Instagram in backstage photos, chilling in Swift's arms, or peeking from designer bags. She's made cameos in Taylor's videos and is even listed as a co-star in some official credits. And yes, she has her own merch. Olivia's face has been printed on shirts, accessories, and collectibles sold to millions of fans. What's really wild is how Olivia's wealth stacks up against actual celebrities. She's reportedly worth more than some chart-topping artists, luxury influencers, and even a few pro athletes. But you won't find her flashing it. Olivia lives in quiet, fluffy luxury like any cat who knows she runs the show. She didn't lay golden eggs, but Jigu the Hen still became one of the richest animals in history. When British publishing tycoon Miles Blackwell passed away, he left a $15 million fortune to his pet chicken. Yes, Chicken, who suddenly found herself the most financially powerful bird in Britain. Jigu lived on a country estate and was doted on during Blackwell's life. He and his wife were known for loving animals and had no children, so their wealth went to causes they cared about. And in Jigu's case, she literally got her own cut of the fortune. Technically, the money was put into a trust to ensure her care and future comfort, but it still made headlines worldwide. The idea of a millionaire chicken might sound like a joke, but Jigu became a symbol of the bizarre extremes of estate planning among the ultra-rich. And with her image now floating across articles and documentaries, she clucked her way into pop culture fame, feathers and all. When antiques dealer Ben Rhea passed away in the UK, he didn't leave his fortune to family or friends. Instead, he gave it all to his beloved cat, Blackie. That decision instantly made Blackie the richest cat in the world at the time, with an inheritance of over $12.5 million. So, no joke, this quiet black cat became Britain's most unlikely millionaire, all because his owner believed no one else deserved the money more. Rhea wasn't a flashy man. He lived in near seclusion and rarely interacted with the outside world, but he adored his feline companion. In his will, he specifically disinherited his relatives and named several animal charities to receive the money, all under Blackie's name and for Blackie's benefit. That meant the money would support his care, comfort, and anything that would keep the cat's life as luxurious as possible. Blackie didn't appear in ads, didn't post on social media, and never set foot on a red carpet, but his legacy still left an impact. To this day, he remains listed in the Guinness World Records as the wealthiest cat of his time. Quiet, unassuming, and completely unaware of his status, Blackie proves that sometimes a life of silent companionship can out-earn the loudest celebrities. She never smiled, but she built an empire. Meet Tartar Sauce, better known to the internet as Grumpy Cat the Feline, whose legendary frown launched a million memes and turned a photo into a multi-million-dollar brand. Born with a form of feline dwarfism and an underbite, Tartar's grumpy expression wasn't a mood, it was her face, and it made her instantly unforgettable. Grumpy Cat became an overnight viral sensation after a single Reddit post, and from there, her life went into overdrive. She starred in commercials for major brands, had her own merchandise line, made talk show appearances, and even headlined a Lifetime movie. Her face appeared on t-shirts, mugs, calendars, and more, all bringing in revenue that made her worth an estimated $100 million at her peak. She was also a pop culture icon. Grumpy Cat hung out with stars, attended major events, and even had her own wax figure at Madame Tussauds. Yet, despite the fame and fortune, her handlers always insisted she remained a regular cat who liked to nap and eat tuna. Tartar Sauce passed away a few years ago, but her empire lives on. Her legacy shows just how powerful one expression can be in the age of the internet, especially when it's grumpier than everyone else's. Oprah Winfrey is known for her love of books, giveaways, and life-changing interviews, but behind the scenes, she's just as passionate about her pets. The media mogul, whose fortune climbs well over $2 billion, has long treated her dogs like family. Not in the they sleep on the bed kind of way, in the they'll inherit millions kind of way. Over the years, Oprah has raised more than 20 dogs, from golden retrievers and cocker spaniels to Springer spaniels and smaller rescue pups. And according to multiple reports, she's made sure that when she's gone, her dogs will continue living in comfort. A $30 million trust fund has reportedly been set aside for their lifelong care, covering everything from gourmet food and grooming to private handlers and medical treatment. This isn't just a rumor. Oprah has openly spoken about her deep emotional connection to her dogs, even calling them her fur children. She once said her dogs taught her some of the greatest lessons about loyalty, presence, and unconditional love, values she carries into everything else she does. In fact, one of her golden retrievers, Sophie, had her own bedroom and a chef-prepared diet. The trust isn't a publicity stunt. It's a reflection of Oprah's view that her dogs deserve the same level of protection and planning as any other loved one. In a world where celebrity pets can be tossed aside when trends change, Oprah's dogs are locked into lifelong security, no sponsorships needed. So while most pets dream of a treat or a belly rub, Oprah's dogs are set to live out their lives in full-blown luxury, complete with staff, safety, and zero worries. Honestly, they're probably living better than most people. Trouble didn't bite the hand that fed her, she inherited it. When New York hotel tycoon Leona Helmsley passed away, she left behind a will that stunned the world. Not because of who she included, but because of who she left out. Her family? Barely a mention. But her tiny white Maltese? $12 million. Yes, Trouble the dog just over 10 pounds of fur, attitude, and designer bows. Leona Helmsley, famously nicknamed the Queen of Mean, wasn't known for kindness toward people. But when it came to trouble, she spared no expense. The dog traveled by private jet, dined on gourmet meals, and had a full-time security detail after receiving death threats once the will became public. Courts eventually reduced Trouble's trust to $2 million, arguing that $12 million was excessive for a dog. Still, the reduced amount easily covered Trouble's extravagant lifestyle until her death at the age of 12. Leona's decision left a legacy almost as famous as her real estate empire. It triggered legal debates, family feuds, and headlines around the globe. In the end, she may have had more enemies than bones, but Trouble proved one thing. Loyalty pays off, especially when you're fluffy, fierce, and happen to be the favorite of a billionaire. Tomaso started life as a stray on the streets of Rome, a scrappy black cat with no pedigree, no home. But everything changed when he was taken in by Maria Assunta, the wealthy widow of a powerful property magnate. When Assunta passed away, her will made international headlines. She left her entire fortune to Tomaso, a staggering $13 million worth of real estate, savings, and assets scattered across Italy, including properties in Rome, Milan, and Calabria. And it wasn't a publicity stunt. The will was carefully drafted and legally executed. So the inheritance was managed through a trusted caretaker, a nurse who had looked after Assunta in her final years. Today, Tomaso reportedly lives in quiet luxury, his exact location kept secret to protect him from threats or media intrusion. From the streets to the penthouse, Tomaso's story is one of the most dramatic rags to riches tales in the animal world. Not because he earned it, but because one woman believed he deserved it. Most dogs chase tennis balls. Moose chased ratings and nailed them. Better known to millions as Eddie from the hit TV show Frasier, this Jack Russell Terrier wasn't just part of the background. He was a scene stealer. With that intense, unblinking stare and perfectly timed head tilts, Moose often delivered more laughs without saying a word than most sitcom side characters ever could. Moose played Eddie for 8 seasons, becoming a fan favorite and earning a reported $10,000 per episode, racking up over $3.2 million during his time on screen. That made him one of the highest-paid animals in television history. And it wasn't just TV. Moose appeared in movies, commercials, and even had his own biography ghostwritten, of course called My Life as a Dog. Behind the scenes, he was all business. His trainer, Matilda DeCagny, said Moose had incredible focus and charisma, though he could also be a bit of a diva. He even had a stunt double another Jack Russell named Enzo, who took over the role in later seasons. And yes, Enzo was Moose's real-life son. In the world of animal fame, Moose was royalty. He retired to a life of comfort and lived out his days in Southern California. While the show Frasier is making a comeback, no dog has yet matched the charm or earnings of the original Eddie. He didn't just sit, he conquered. If Beverly Hills had a 4-legged queen, her name was Conchita. This tiny chihuahua belonged to Miami heiress Gail Posner, and she lived a life so over the top, it made some humans jealous. Conchita wasn't just spoiled, she was legendary. She had her own room in a waterfront mansion, wore pink designer dresses, and was often seen strutting around in a $15,000 diamond necklace. That's right, 15 grand. For a collar she refused to wear. When Posner died, she left $3 million to Conchita in a trust, along with ownership of her $8.3 million mansion. The inheritance also covered an entourage of staff dedicated to caring for the pup and her 2 fellow dogs, ensuring her pampered lifestyle would never skip a beat. Daily massages, gourmet meals, a walk-in closet, all real. Some called her the real-life Elle Woods Bruiser, only richer. The case drew massive media attention, not just for its scale, but for the legal battles it kicked off. Posner's son contested the will, claiming foul play, but the court upheld it, and Conchita remained the furry face of one of the world's most talked-about pet fortunes. She became a symbol of ultra-luxury in the pet world, where wealth doesn't just trickle down to heirs, but also to paws. In a sea of spoiled pets, Conchita stood out not just for what she had, but how unapologetically she lived. Glammed up, pampered, and absolutely unforgettable. That's about it. What pet do you have? Write their name in the comments, and don't forget to check out our other videos.